Ogtvnews. Christians in Ogun State return to worship centers after 5 months closure. House of Representatives Committee on Petroleum summons NNPC, others over $30 million debt. Inspector General of Police goes tough on illegal possession of prohibited firearms, directs CPs to arrest and prosecute offenders. Thousands of opponents of Belarusian president protest against disputed elections. When you feel like quitting, remember why you started. Hello everyone and welcome to Ogtvnews. I am Idowu Fabajo. Christians in Ogun East Senatorial District have lauded the pragmatic approach of the current administration in the state led by Prince Dapo Abiodun towards flattening the spread of global coronavirus pandemic and the reopening of worship centers in the state. They made the commendation during a visit by Ogtvnews crew to monitor the level of compliance with the state government directives on the precautionary measures of COVID-19 to worship centers, most especially churches in Ogun East Senatorial District. Kunle's report is presented in this package.
Amongst precautionary measures of global coronavirus pandemic is the closure of worship centers towards flattening the spread of the deadly disease in Nigeria. After a long period of closure of churches, Sunday 16th August 2020 marks the reopening of churches in the state as Christians converged in their numbers at various churches in compliance with COVID-19 precautionary measures to give thanks to God. A visit to various churches in Ogun East Central District reveals the leadership of some Christian worship centers did not leave any stone unturned as they made provisions for the COVID-19 precautionary measures.
As a church, we have provided all the enabling environment. This compound has been fumigated and we provided water for washing of hands and soap. We provided sanitizers for our members. We already have infrared thermometers by which people are screened before coming into the church.
But consequences of atrocity of the world have led to this problem. So we still need to pray to God and try, and this time will be a signal to us that God is the owner, is the landlord of the world.
Reflecting on the effects of COVID-19 on Nigerians, some clerics who spoke with Ogtvnews crew commend the efforts of the Ogun State government towards flattening the spread of the pandemic and enjoin Christians to continually pray for the total eradication of disease globally.
Tell them that particularly we prayed at the gate this morning, we put some people there. Anybody without face mask cannot enter. If you don't have sanitized, you don't. So they have to follow all the regulation. That's what we did here.
Nigerians were also admonished to continually maintain the precautionary measures of COVID-19 till the discovery of vaccine.
Meanwhile, Christian faithful in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, observed the first Sunday service after 5 months of closure as a result of the outbreak of coronavirus pandemic. Our reporter Yusuf Gani, who monitored the reopening of churches with Ogun State Task Force, reports that the service was strictly observed with COVID-19 protocols in order to curb the spread of the virus in the country. His report.
Christian faithful appreciating God's faithfulness in their lives for bringing them back again to their various worship centers after 5 months of closure due to COVID-19 pandemic, which has affected all activities, particularly the economy of the nation. Ogun State Task Force on Illegality, led by CSP Toyin Afolaogun, moved around some churches within Abeokuta metropolis to ensure that coronavirus protocols are strictly followed. In every church visited, Christian faithful was seen putting on their face masks, washing their hands under running water, and keeping social distancing as well as temperature check. CSP Toyin Afolaogun said the exercise was 100% total compliance, adding that churches must continue in that regard so as to curb the spread of coronavirus pandemic in the country. Some religious leaders also used the medium to appreciate Ogun State government for its effort at curtailing the spread of COVID-19 pandemic in the state.
There are things he knew, and I thank God that at this time, when he felt it is better for him to have done that, he has done it, and we are glad about it. We have been praying for him. Even during the lockdown, we're praying for him, even against the various all manners of shenanigans here and there. But if you understand leadership, allow the leader to lead, and you follow him. And I think he has done the right thing for the state, and at this point in time.
You can see us, we are happy, we are glad that God has brought us back again, that God did not allow gate of hell to prevail over the church, so we praise his name.
Prayers were offered to God Almighty to heal the country and for continued peaceful coexistence of the citizens. Yusuf Ganiyu, OGTV News.
Nigerians have been urged to embrace peaceful coexistence among citizens despite diverse culture, political and religious differences. Clerics made the call while speaking with our reporter on the roles of religion in promoting peaceful coexistence in Nigeria. Details in this package. Major challenge is that has continued to face the nation is how to find a sustainable path to fostering peace and unity. Taking a look at the role of religion towards peaceful coexistence in Nigeria, clerics say cohabiting peacefully is the collective responsibility of all.
All the religious leaders must preach peace in their congregation to their members, because after coming together, the members will go out there in the whole Nigeria and do one thing or the other, going about their businesses. And we need to make sure we preach peace to them, telling them to do the right thing.
Religion teaches us to love, protect, and care for one another. Religion is expected to play the following roles in our society. First, psychological counseling, behavioral rehabilitation, peaceful settlements of disputes, faith in inspiration. By all this, there will be no cause for killing, robbery, kidnapping in our society.
Realizing the fact that religion entrenches the totality of man to keep the tenets and teaches people to live in peace with one another and disassociate with corruption and greed, Nigerians were advised to be their brother's keeper.
Please bear it in mind. The next person to you, the first family you have is your neighbor, no matter the religion. If anything should happen at night, you cannot call from Abogota here, call the person at Lagos that please come and rush me to the hospital. No. If you are shouting, people from Lagos will not come to you in Abogota here. It is your neighbor, and that neighbor may be a Muslim, it may be a Christian, even it may be a traditionalist. When we see that, then we shall live peacefully.
The leaders should at all time preach that peace to be enshrined in our lives, in our way of lives, in our doing of things, so that we will live peacefully among ourselves. We will live peacefully in the world. We will live peacefully even in Nigeria.
There is need for proper and structured religious education in order to enjoy peace and harmonious relationship which will champion the society for the better tomorrow. The National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, says the total number of unemployed Nigerians is 21.7 million. The statistics are contained in the Bureau's Labor Force Statistics website entitled Unemployment and Underemployment Reports, second quarter 2020, released in Abuja. It referred to the report as an abridged labor force survey under COVID-19 for August 2020. The unemployment rate during the period in reference represented a 27.1% rise from the 23.1% recorded in the third quarter of 2018. According to the report, the total number of people in employment during the reference period is 58.5 million. The statistics of those employed showed a 15.8% reduction in employment in the third quarter of 2020. The NBS noted that unemployment rate among rural dwellers in the period under review increased to 28% from 23.9% in the third quarter of 2018. Urban dwellers also reported a rate of 25.4% from 21.2%. The Nigerian Ports Authority on Sunday announced the berthing of the biggest container vessel to ever dock at a Nigerian port. General Manager, Corporate and Strategic Communications, Mr. Adams Jatto, made the announcement in a statement in Lagos. Jatto said the mescaline Horn vessel with length overall of 300 meters, width of 48 meters, was received at the Federal Ocean Terminal, Rivers State, at 16:20 hours on August 15. He added that the vessel, which had a capacity of 9,971 TEUs, was a flagship from Singapore. The vessel, which was brought in from Fairway Bonin with the aid of 3 tugboats operated by 3 of NPA's pilots, was received by the manager of the One Ports, Mr. Al-Azan Abubakar. NPA is delighted to state that the landmark arrival of the biggest gearless mescaline vessel at One Ports is a result of management's determination to improve the patronage of the eastern ports. The 296 Nigerians stranded in London, UK, have finally arrived in Nigeria. News media had reported that over 200 Nigerians were stranded and protesting at Stansted Airport, London, UK, after they were forced to disembark from a Nigeria-bound Titan Airline aircraft. The Nigerians evacuated via Gatwick Airport, London, by Air Peace flight operated by Air Europa flight, landed at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, on Saturday, August 16. The returning have reportedly proceeded on a 14-day self-isolation as mandated by Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, and Presidential Task Force of COVID-19. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has written to President Muhammadu Buhari asking him to instruct the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, and the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, to withdraw the 5 million naira fine on hate speech. In the letter, the Commission asked President Buhari to direct the Information Minister and the NBC to immediately recite the fine of 5 million imposed on Nigeria Info 99.3 FM radio station, following the reported comments by former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Obadiah Mailafia, during an interview with the station. The NBC last week reportedly issued a stern warning to journalists and broadcast stations, stating that to denigrate the governors, lawmakers, elders, and leaders in abusive terms is not our culture. We respect our leaders as a positive cultural value. The Commission may be compelled to impose sanctions where stations fail to curb this practice. SERAP, in a statement by its Deputy Director, Kolawole Uluwadari, said rather than pushing to enforce a culture to respect president, governors, lawmakers, elders, and other leaders, the Information Minister and the NBC should use their entrusted public office and mandates to promote a culture of public debate, access to information, transparency, and accountability in government. The organization stated that nothing can be more destructive to people's exercise of basic human rights and to democratic politics than the suppression of the media and media freedom. The alleged cultural codes which Mr. Mohammed and NBC are now using to punish journalists, broadcast stations, and other Nigerians are patently contrary to the public interests. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Nigeria, Egypt Oil Company, NCDMB, the Corn Services Limited, alongside other joint ventures, JV partners, have again been summoned by House of Representatives Committee on Petroleum Upstream over a $30 million debt. The chairman of the committee, Rep. Musa Ada, APC Sokoto, disclosed to newsmen in Abuja over the weekend to recall that the Corn Services Limited had petitioned the House accusing Nigeria Adib Oil Company, NAHOG, of refusing to pay over $30 million and 70 million naira accrued outstanding bills for engineering jobs executed in a contract it won via tender for the company since 2014, amongst other infractions that are inimical to the terms contained in the contract. The committee had on July 29 this year summoned NAHOG, NNPC, and OANDO, the other JV partners, to however NCDMB, Nigeria Content Development Management Board, NCDMB, which was named in the petition, had honored the committee's invitation for Wednesday, 12th August, while NNPC, Adib Oil Company, among others, failed to show up. Rep. Idowu assured that the committee would not relent in its effort at ensuring justice prevails, said Adib had refused to attend the hearing, citing fears over the COVID-19 pandemic, appear on Wednesday, August 12th, to explain the discrepancies and their roles in the allegations. The Nigerian Air Force now on Sunday deployed additional 32 special forces to support Operation Safe Haven being executed by the military to restore normalcy to southern Kaduna. The Air Officer Commanding Air Training Command Kaduna, Musa Mukhtar, said in Kaduna that the development was in response to the directive of the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, for NAF to support the ongoing operation. Information from NAF disclosed that the troops deployed 2 officers, 28 soldiers, and 2 medical staff. Mukhtar noted that the operation would be as long as necessary, adding that there were already a contingent of defense special forces deployed to southern Kaduna to restore peace in the area. The AOC called on the residents of southern Kaduna to avail the troops with the necessary and genuine information that will assist in the successful execution of the operation. Mukhtar also called on the residents to give the military all the necessary cooperation, saying that the military was there to assist the civil populace and not to harm them. You're watching Ogtvnews News. We'll take a quick break now and return with more news and reports. Just stay with us. Welcome back. Still on security matters, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Mohammed Adamu, has ordered the commissioners of police in the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory to identify and arrest any individuals or groups in possession of prohibited firearms. The IGP's directive comes as part of preparations towards the forthcoming governorship elections in Edo and Ondo states, as well as efforts by the Police High Command to curb the proliferation of prohibited firearms in the country. A statement by the Force Public Relations Officer, Force Headquarters, DCP Frank Omba, says the Inspector General of Police, IGP Adamu, has ordered commissioners of police in the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, to immediately initiate appropriate actions to identify, isolate, disarm, arrest, and prosecute any individuals or groups in possession of prohibited firearms. DCP Umba said that the directive has become necessary against the backdrop of the deliberate harming and movement of political thugs and other criminal elements across the country. In addition, the directive is targeted at addressing the proliferation and unlawful possession of prohibited firearms in the country, which is contrary to the provisions of Chapter F28 LFN 2004 of the Firearms Act. President Muhammadu Buhari has felicitated former military President General Ibrahim Babangida on his 79th birthday. The president, in a statement by his special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, joined family, friends, and associates to celebrate with the elder statesman. As the former military leader turns a new age, he will always be remembered, the statement said. President Buhari prays that the Almighty God will continually strengthen General Babangida, grants him good health and longer life. Ibrahim Babangida served as a military president of Nigeria from 1985 until his resignation in 1993. Manchester City, tens of thousands of opponents of Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko have gathered in Minsk to protest against disputed elections. The march for the capital comes amid growing anger over alleged poll rigging and police violence at subsequent protests. Meanwhile, in an address to a smaller crowd of several thousand, Mr. Lukashenko blasted opponents as rats. He called on supporters to defend their country and independence. The rival rallies were taking place after Russia agreed to order security assistance in the case of external military threats to Belarus. It's emerged that Mr. Lukashenko had twice spoken to President Vladimir Putin over the weekend. The longtime Belarus leader also voiced concerns over NATO military exercises taking place in neighboring Poland and Lithuania and launched into tirade against the Western military alliance. The 8-day Fidel prayer has been held for the late grassroots politician, philanthropist, former senator representing Ogun East Senatorial District and the 2019 governorship candidate in Ogun State, Buruji Kashamu. Leading the Ogun State government delegation to the Fidel prayer, Deputy Speaker of Ogun State House of Assembly, Honorable Oludari Kadiri, said the state has lost a strong pillar of support and a great philanthropist. Matthew Shomi tells us more.
A time to celebrate a man who has generally been described as kind-hearted to mankind and a dogged fighter. Dignitaries, among whom were 7 senators, politicians, traditional rulers, Islamic clerics in Akile Ijebu and beyond, and others joined the family of the grassroots politician, philanthropist, birth game magnate, and former governorship candidate in Ogun State, Senator Buruji Kashamu, to offer prayers for the repose of his soul at the 8th-day Fidel for the late businessman. The Ogun State government delegation was led by Deputy Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Honorable Oludari Kadiri, who described the death of the former senator representing Ogun East as a great loss to Ijebu-Igbo, the state, and the nation.
Like you have seen, everybody is saying good thing about him. And what he said in the Quran is that when people are saying good about you, that means you are in Alujana. So I believe he's in Alujana, so we should all be preparing for it.
Ogun State has lost an illustrious son, a philanthropist par excellence, a grassroots politician.
The Awujale of Ijebuland was represented by Dagburewe of Idowa, Oba Yunusa Adekoya.
There is no doubt that he was a grassroots.
In his lecture, Olori Oniwasi Agbaye, Sheikh Muhyiddin Ajani Bello, said the deceased had run his own race, delivered his own message on earth, and now back to his creator. But the most important thing is the lessons drawn from his earthly journey. Some of the dignitaries present described late Senator Kashamu as a politician of rare stock.
He's truly a philanthropist.
and he's a workaholic, and also somebody that will use everything to fight whatever he believes in.
Both 8 days ago and also today, most of the people are kept outside so that there will be no crowd, there will be no congestion. I think it draws attention to the significance of the man himself.
And to us in the Ijebu community, is the greatest philanthropist that ever lived.
Wife and children, who one after the other relived a fond memory of their father and husband, described him as a remarkable family man.
My gifts from God. My advisor.
He taught me the importance of giving God to the community. He taught me to be fair in everything I do, and above all, the importance of fighting for justice.
The funeral was led by Chief Imam of Ijebuland, Alhaji Muftau Badegeshin Ayanbadejo, who offered prayers for the repose of the soul of the departed. Matthew Shoumi, OGTV News.
A commendation service has been held in honor of Pastor Paul Adewumi with a call on all mortals to spend their lives on earth for the service of God. Pastor Olusegun Osunsan made the call in a sermon during the commendation service at the Redeemed Christian Church of God Overflowing Megazone, as he described the deceased as one who served God till the end of his life. Elizabeth Esson was at the church premises at Fagba, Lagos. A report.
Commendation service for Pastor Paul Adewumi, who died on the 6th day of August 2020 after a brief illness. Pastor Paul Adewumi, during his sojourn on earth, according to the preacher, served God diligently and impacted the lives of everyone around him positively.
I can say about it that he loved God. I can say about him that he didn't take the work of God lying low. I can say about him that he loved people of God.
The cleric confirmed that saints don't die, but sleep in Christ. That gives them the assurance that Pastor Paul Adewumi is resting in the bosom of God because he has lived his life in fulfillment of God's will. Friends, family, members, and co-ministers took turns out to speak glowingly about the deceased.
He was our friend. He was our support system. He was the most respected, autistic man I have ever met.
I know that every good thing he has done will live on, and the presence of God will not depart from mommy, from the children.
Prayerful, a teacher, a prophet, humble, a family man.
There are so many victories that we have together that on stage of time will not allow me to share hers.
Born on the 25th day of September 1965, Pastor Paul Adewumi started his career with the Ogun State Television before he finally embraced pastoral service. He is survived by wife, Pastor Mrs. Anike Olabimpe Adewumi, and children. Elizabeth Esson, OGTV News.
May so rest in peace, and let's quickly take a look at the weather forecast for Monday. When you feel like quitting, remember why you started. Let's quickly remind you that you can follow us on our social media platforms for more news and updates. We are on Apple, Roku, Windows, BlackBerry, Facebook, and Android devices. You can also watch us live on OGTV website, www.ogtv.com.ng/live. And that's it on our major news. Many thanks to you for staying with OGTV News. I am Idowu Fabajo. Bye now.